Welcome to English Through Ideas podcast, where we learn English through powerful ideas.
Glad to be here.
I want you to imagine this scenario for just a moment. You finally get that big promotion you've been chasing for like 3 long years.
Right.
Or, I don't know, you finally buy the car you've been dreaming about forever. How long does that happiness actually last?
Not very long.
Exactly, like a week, maybe a day.
Yeah.
By Monday morning, you're already looking for the next goal.
Yeah, you're right back where you started.
So for today's deep dive, we're exploring a really fascinating conversation featuring the thinker and entrepreneur Naval Ravikant. And our mission today is to extract the core rules of what you might call the game of life.
Basically focusing on happiness, success, and human psychology.
Exactly. And we're going to do it using simple, clear English. So the main question we have to answer for you, the listener, is this. Why is our brain mathematically wired to make us miserable the very moment we succeed?
It's a huge question, and I mean, it challenges everything society teaches us about how to live. We are given the script very early in life.
Work hard, go to school.
Right. Suffer now, get the reward later, and then finally you'll be happy. But today's material, it just completely turns that upside down.
It really does.
Yeah, so we're going to journey from understanding this hidden psychological contract that causes our unhappiness to avoiding these specific social traps that just waste our energy.
Right.
And finally, to designing a life of actual, genuine freedom.
I love that. Let's start right at the foundation then, because there seems to be this huge conflict in human nature between, on one hand, wanting to achieve big things, and on the other hand, wanting to feel peaceful.
Yeah, we always assume those two things go together.
Right. But the source material suggests they're actually enemies. It argues that success comes from dissatisfaction.
Exactly.
But happiness comes from being completely satisfied. So, I mean, how can we possibly balance that?
Well, you balance it by first understanding what desire actually is. Because we usually think of desire as a positive motivation.
Like having a goal.
Yeah, like ambition. But the core concept here is that desire is essentially a contract you make with yourself.
A contract?
Yeah. When you want something, you are literally signing a psychological contract to be unhappy until you get it.
Oh, wow.
You're telling your brain, I am not enough and my life is not enough until I reach this specific goal.
So wait, every time I set a goal, I'm actively choosing to be miserable in the present moment.
Essentially, yes.
I mean, are we just like a donkey chasing a carrot on a stick, constantly telling ourselves, I'll be happy when I get that new job or when I get that new car?
That is the perfect analogy. And that totally explains the treadmill effect, right? We are constantly running, telling ourselves we'll rest when we reach the end of the treadmill.
But the treadmill has no end.
It has no end. It just speeds up.
But here's my question, and I'm sure the listener's thinking this too. If we cancel all our desire contracts, right, and we just decide to be perfectly happy right now, do we just lose all our ambition?
That's the fear.
Yeah. Like if I'm perfectly content, why would I ever get off the couch to work or exercise or, I don't know, build a business?
And that is the most common fear people have about finding peace. We think that anxiety is the fuel for our success, but this actually misunderstands our basic biology.
How so?
Well, we're animals, right? We are biologically driven to act, to solve problems, to survive, and to build things. A healthy animal doesn't just sit in the dirt until it starves.
Right.
You're going to act no matter what. The difference is the mental state behind the action.
Okay. So we have to separate the physical effort from the mental suffering.
Exactly. Physical pain and effort, those are real. Working a 12-hour day is tiring. Building a company is genuinely hard. But the suffering, the stress, the anxiety, the feeling of inadequacy, that is mostly a mental choice.
Because we're resisting what's happening.
Yes. Mental suffering happens because we resist reality. We hate the process because we only want the result. But you can work incredibly hard without the mental suffering if you just accept the present moment.
So it's like you can climb the mountain just because you enjoy the act of climbing, not because you're angry that you aren't at the top yet.
That's it. And there's a brilliant historical story in the source material that illustrates this perfectly.
Oh, the Alexander the Great one.
Yeah, the story of Alexander the Great meeting the philosopher Diogenes.
Set that up for us.
So Alexander was, the most powerful man in the world. He conquered everything he desired. But Diogenes, on the other hand, lived in a wooden barrel in the street.
Literally a barrel.
Literally a barrel. He owned absolutely nothing. He had completely abandoned all desire.
So the ultimate success story meets the ultimate minimalist. What
Yeah.
happens?
Well, Alexander approaches Diogenes, who's just relaxing in the sun. And Alexander, having all the power in the world, looks at him and says, "If I could be anyone else in my next life, I wish I could be Diogenes."
Wow. And what does Diogenes say?
Diogenes looks right back at him and replies, "If I were not Diogenes, I would also wish to be Diogenes. I do not wish to be Alexander."
That is so powerful. I
Mm.
mean, he had absolutely nothing, but he was completely free, while the man who basically owned the entire world was still full of stress and desire.
Exactly. It proves a crucial point. Not wanting something is just as powerful as having it.
Right.
You can reach a state of peace by fighting the entire world to get everything you want, or you can reach the exact same state by simply not wanting it in the first place.
One path takes a whole lifetime of suffering, and the other you can just do right now in your head.
Right now.
That really reframes how we look at our daily lives. And think about it. 99% of your life is just the journey.
Yeah.
The destination, like the actual moment you buy the car or sign the contract is just a tiny fraction of a second.
Yeah.
If you signed a contract to be unhappy during the entire journey, what kind of life are you actually living?
You're living a miserable life, interrupted by like 5 seconds of joy before you sign the next contract.
It's just an endless loop. Desire, a brief moment of fulfillment, rapid adaptation, and then you're unfulfilled again.
Endless loop.
Okay, so if we are stuck on this treadmill, what exactly are we running toward? What are the things society tells us we must desire? Usually it comes down to two things, right? Wealth or status.
Yes.
But the material makes a very sharp distinction between the two. And understanding this difference seems to be the key to stepping off the treadmill.
It's a vital distinction, because one game builds you up and the other basically destroys you. Wealth and status are completely different games. Wealth is a positive-sum game.
But let's break that down for the listener, just to be clear. Positive sum means the size of the pie can grow.
Right.
Everyone can get a slice, and nobody actually has to lose.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
if we design a new piece of software or write a book or invent a better way to purify water, we create abundance. I can have more wealth and you can have more wealth at the exact same time.
The world just becomes richer overall.
Right. But status is a zero-sum game.
Zero sum, meaning for me to win, you must lose. The pie never gets bigger.
Yeah, think of status like a ladder. For you to go up one step on the ladder, someone else must be pushed down.
Because there's only one number one.
Exactly. There's only one president, only one person ranked #1 in the class. And the thing is, status games are deeply wired into our evolutionary psychology.
Going way back.
Right. In ancient hunter-gatherer tribes, wealth didn't really exist. You could only own what you could carry. So your survival depended entirely on your status in the tribe.
If you had high status, you got the food. If you had low status, you starved.
Exactly.
Which totally explains why we get so emotional about it today. I mean, if someone insults us online or a coworker gets the promotion instead of us, our brain reacts like our physical survival is literally in danger.
It triggers that ancient fear. And that's why status games cause endless anger and combat. Because you are always fighting someone to keep your position. You're never safe.
But wait, let me push back on this idea just a bit.
Sure.
What about fame? Today, it feels like everyone wants to be famous, or at least be like an influencer. Isn't fame just a modern type of wealth?
It seems like it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It brings you sponsorships, money, incredible opportunities. From the outside, fame looks like a positive-sum game.
It might look like wealth, but the analysis in the source reveals that fame is actually the ultimate status trap.
Really?
Yes, because it comes with an incredibly high hidden cost. If you pursue fame, you destroy your privacy.
Sure.
You have to constantly perform a character for your audience. And worse, you have to be perfectly consistent with everything you've ever said in the past, or the audience will turn on you.
They'll cancel you.
Exactly. And structurally, fame attracts negative energy. It attracts jealousy, haters, and people who literally just want to pull you down so they can raise their own status.
So fame, just for the sake of fame, is really an empty pursuit. It makes you fragile.
It really does. The material argues that true, earned fame is only acceptable if it's a natural byproduct of doing something highly useful for the world.
Like inventing something.
Right. If you invent a cure for a disease, fame will follow, and that's fine. But craving the attention itself, that leaves you terrified of losing it. You basically become a prisoner to other people's opinions.
And that naturally leads to the next big problem we have to discuss. If we shouldn't look for validation through status or fame, because they're traps, Where should our confidence come from?
It has to come from the inside.
How do we feel good about ourselves without playing that zero-sum game?
It comes down to true self-esteem. And the definition used in the source is just brilliant. Self-esteem is simply the reputation you have with yourself.
The reputation you have with yourself. Let's unpack that. I mean, that implies you are always watching your own actions, even when absolutely no one else is in the room.
Right. Because you cannot lie to yourself.
You know if you cut corners.
Exactly. You know if you took the easy way out. You know if you cheated. The worst possible outcome in life is not liking yourself. If you are struggling with your internal reputation, the outside world becomes an impossible challenge, no matter how much money you have.
So how do we actually build that internal reputation? It sounds like it requires making choices that are morally pretty difficult.
It does. It requires living up to your own internal moral code, doing things for others, making genuine sacrifices for people you love, and doing the right thing when it is difficult.
Not just saying nice things to yourself.
Right. It's about action, not just, repeating positive affirmations in the mirror.
But if we are constantly judging our own actions like that, we really have to confront the concept of pride. From my perspective, pride feels like a major roadblock to building this internal reputation.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about it like this. Pride is like wearing a heavy, thick winter coat in the middle of a hot summer day.
I love that analogy.
Right. You bought the coat 5 years ago, you told everyone it was a great investment, and now you refuse to take it off because you just don't want to admit you made a bad choice.
Yeah.
You're sweating, you're miserable, but your pride won't let you change.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. That heavy winter coat represents your past decisions and your ego. The material explains that pride is the absolute enemy of learning.
Why is that?
Because if you want to grow, you must realize that all learning is simply error correction.
Error correction, meaning you try something, you get it wrong, you fix it.
Yes, but to do that, you have to admit you were wrong in the first place.
Which hurts the ego.
Exactly. You have to be willing to change your mind and update your beliefs based on new information. But if you are wrapped in pride, you'll defend your past mistakes just to look consistent. You'll keep wearing the heavy winter coat.
And society really punishes people for changing their minds. If a public figure changes their opinion based on new evidence, the internet immediately calls them a hypocrite.
Which brings us right back to the danger of the status game. If you are terrified of looking like a hypocrite, you are trapped by who you used to be.
Wow.
The most successful thinkers are completely willing to start over. The source points to someone like Elon Musk.
What's the example there?
Well, after he made hundreds of millions of dollars selling PayPal, he didn't just retire to protect his status as a rich genius. He poured all that money into SpaceX and Tesla.
Almost went bankrupt, right?
He had to borrow money just to pay his personal rent at one point. He had zero pride about looking like a failure. He was completely willing to go back to zero to solve new problems.
That takes incredible mental flexibility. So how do we design our daily lives to protect this mindset? Because to build self-esteem and maintain that ability to learn without pride, we must need a lot of freedom.
We do.
We need to control our own time and our own decisions.
Yes, and this is where the philosophy becomes very practical. To protect your energy, you have to practice what the source calls holistic selfishness.
Holistic selfishness. Okay, that is an uncomfortable phrase. Selfishness is almost always a negative word. Why use it as a strategy?
Because if you are burned out, resentful, and constantly doing things you hate just to please other people, you are useless to the world.
It's the airplane oxygen mask principle.
Exactly. You have to put your own mask on before you can help anyone else. Being holistically selfish means protecting your time fiercely so you actually have the energy to create wealth and help your family.
What does that actually look like in a daily routine, though?
It means deleting unnecessary schedules and avoiding random obligations. One of the core arguments here is that inspiration is perishable.
Like fresh fruit on the counter. If you don't eat it when it's ripe, it goes bad and you just have to throw it away.
Precisely. When you're suddenly curious about a topic or you feel a burst of energy to write or code or solve a problem, you should do it in that exact moment.
Strike while the iron is hot.
Yes, because the mental friction is lowest and your natural energy is highest. If you have a great idea on Friday, but you schedule it for a meeting next Tuesday at 2 p.m.,
It's gone.
the inspiration will be dead by the time Tuesday arrives. You'll just be forcing yourself to work.
That sounds ideal, but it also sounds kind of impossible for a normal person. I mean, people are constantly demanding our time, inviting us to meetings, asking for favors, suggesting projects. How do we protect our perishable inspiration from the rest of the world?
You need a ruthless rule for decision-making. And the rule is, if you cannot decide, the answer is no.
Default to no.
Default to no for almost everything.
Oh,
Only say yes when it is a definitive, absolute yes.
okay. That makes sense for external requests. But what about internal decisions? Like choosing a career path or deciding what city to live in?
For those hard choices, there's another rule. If you are forced to choose between two paths, choose the path that is more painful in the short term.
Choose the pain. Wait, why would we intentionally do that?
Because your brain is designed to avoid immediate pain, it will constantly try to trick you.
Sneaky.
It'll make the easy, comfortable path look much better than it really is. But the path that is easy in the short term almost always leads to long-term stress and failure.
Let me put it this way. It's like pulling off a bandage.
Right.
You can peel it slowly, which hurts a little bit for a long time, or just rip it off. Or, better yet, it's like taking a cold shower.
Right.
Stepping into freezing water is a massive shock to the system for the first 10 seconds. You really want to avoid it. But after you do it, you feel energized and clear-headed for the next 4 hours.
Exactly.
But if you avoid the short-term pain and just stay in a warm bed, you feel sluggish and tired all day.
That's a great example.
So we say no to distractions, we choose the short-term pain, and we follow our inspiration. But how do we actually get good at things once we've made these choices? We always hear the rule that it takes 10,000 hours of practice to master skill.
Right, the famous 10,000-hour rule. But the material corrects this idea. Mastery is not about 10,000 hours of repetition, it's about 10,000 iterations.
Explain the difference between repetition and iteration for the listener.
Well, repetition is just doing the exact same thing again and again. Like if you're learning English and you pronounce a word incorrectly 10,000 times.
You don't achieve mastery.
Right. You just become a permanent expert at making a mistake. Iteration, on the other hand, is trying, failing, identifying the error, and trying again in a slightly different, better way.
And that requires that lack of pride we discussed earlier.
Exactly. You must be eager to find out what you are doing wrong so you can adjust.
It's active learning instead of passive repetition. And this concept of iteration, it applies to big life choices too, right? Like dating or finding the right career.
Yes. There's actually a mathematical concept from computer science used to explain this in the source. It's called the secretary theorem.
The secretary theorem.
Okay. It tells us how to optimize decision-making when we have a lot of unknown options. The math suggests that you should spend the first 37% of your time. Let's just round it to the first third strictly exploring.
Exploring without committing. Give me a concrete example.
Imagine you're moving to a new city and you have 30 days to find an apartment.
Okay.
You should spend the first 10 days just looking at apartments. Do not sign a lease on anything, even if it looks incredible. Just iterate. Fail quickly. Figure out what neighborhoods you like, what the prices are, and establish a baseline of quality in that city.
So you're basically just gathering data without the pressure of a final decision.
Right. And once that exploration phase is over, you switch to exploiting.
Meaning?
You look for the very next apartment that is better than the baseline you just established, and you commit to it heavily. You do this with jobs, with dating, with finding the city you want to live in. Explore wildly to gather data, then exploit the best option you find.
That is fascinating. So we have to be incredibly intentional. We say no to the wrong things, we embrace short-term pain, we iterate constantly, and we explore before we commit.
Yes.
But why? Why must we protect our time and decisions with such aggression?
Because human life is shockingly brief. And we fundamentally misunderstand what it means to waste it.
How so?
Well, most people think wasted time means relaxing or taking a nap or just watching the clouds. But the philosophy here defines it completely differently. Wasted time is any moment you are not fully present for.
Oh, wow. That completely shifts the perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So taking a nap isn't wasting time as long as you're actually enjoying the nap.
Exactly. But if you are sitting at your desk doing a highly productive task, but your mind is stressing about the future or wishing you were somewhere else, you are essentially dead to that moment.
You missed it completely.
Time is only wasted when your mind is running away from reality.
That is a heavy thought. And it really points to a massive problem in modern society. Our attention is constantly being stolen, pulling us away from the present moment.
Oh, constant.
We have the modern news cycles, social media algorithms. The discussion actually introduces a term for these things.
Yeah.
Mimetic viruses.
Right. It's a really profound way to look at modern media. Mimetic comes from the word meme, or imitation. It's about how behaviors and ideas replicate.
So it's like catching a cold. But instead of catching a cough, you're catching an idea.
You're catching anxiety. These platforms are literally designed to infect your brain with outrage and problems that you cannot control.
Yeah.
When you scroll through social media, you are absorbing the anger and fears of thousands of strangers. It replicates inside your mind, and then you spread it to the next person by sharing it.
So you're sitting in your safe, comfortable living room, getting furious about a scandal happening 1,000 miles away.
And you completely ignore the actual life happening right in front of you.
It is so true. We try to solve these global political problems in our heads, while their own personal lives, our health, or our relationships are breaking down. We focus on the distant problem because it's easier than fixing the reality in our own house.
Exactly. And this is where the material synthesizes everything into one final, powerful cure for this modern anxiety.
Looks good here.
To stop the mimetic viruses and to stop the stress of the status game, you have to adopt the ultimate perspective. You have to remember that eventually we all die and go to zero.
Okay, wait. I know we're looking for peace, but telling people to think about dying sounds incredibly depressing. How is that a cure?
It sounds dark at first, sure, but if you truly understand it, it's the most freeing concept in the world.
Freeing.
Yes.
Oh.
Because if every achievement, every failure, every embarrassment, and every dollar eventually goes back to zero, it means the heavy weight of the future is an illusion. The regrets of your past do not matter. The only thing that possesses any actual reality is the present moment right in front of you.
So the shortness of life is not a reason to panic. It's the exact reason to stop stressing.
Exactly. You do not have to carry the weight of the whole world. You just have to be fully present for the conversation you're having, the meal you're eating, or the work you're doing today.
That makes me realize that attention really is our most valuable currency. It's not money. It's not even time itself, because as we established, time can be wasted if we aren't paying attention to it.
Right. You can't buy more time.
But you have absolute control over where you point your attention right now. If you stop letting your attention be stolen by zero-sum status games, fake pride, and mimetic viruses, you essentially win the game of life. You become free.
And that freedom is available right now simply by changing how you view your reality.
Well, we have unpacked a tremendous amount of knowledge today. We moved from the hidden traps of the desire contract to building unshakable internal self-esteem, the necessity of short-term pain, and the true definition of wasted time. Before we finish, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to explore on your own.
Take these ideas and apply them to your own life today.
Exactly. Think back to that very first idea we discussed. Look closely at your life right now and identify one desire contract you have signed, one specific thing you've told yourself you absolutely must have in order to finally be happy. Maybe it's a specific salary number, a relationship, or a title at work. What would happen if you simply tore up that contract right now? Could you find a way to be perfectly satisfied with your current reality today, enjoying the simple act of climbing the mountain without needing to reach the top? Thank you for learning with English through ideas. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe for more ideas, more English, and more growth.